Bachelor of Social Sciences and I majored in psychology, criminology, and human resources management. And I also and right now I'm doing my honors degree in human resources management, mainly focusing only on advanced human resources management. Thank you.
Thank you. Lucy?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Busi Swamsi. I hold a bachelor degree from CPUT, Cape Peninsula University of Technology, in human resource. I was majoring with human resource management, labor relations, as well as training and development. And currently doing honors at UWC, measuring exactly the same modules that I major within my bachelor degree, and working for University of Cape Town, based in Waterfront, Graduate School of Business as a CPS protection officer and the investigation department. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. My name is Luandile Nonzele. I've done the bachelor's degree in human resource development, and I'm currently doing BCom honors in human resource management with the University of the Western Cape. So I'm working for the University of Cape Town as a faculty officer at law faculty. So we've been given this project by the lecturer to present the topic of job design and job analysis, and part of the assignment was to interview two HR business partners from different sectors, so we can find out their views and their understanding and how they apply these two concepts, that is the job design and job analysis, in their workplaces. So we have approached Mr. Oscar Lutingo. I am not going to mention the organization that is working for due to the POPI Act, but we are going to sort of like talk about the sector that his organization falls under. So I'm going to give it to Mr. Oscar Lutingo to quickly introduce himself. Over to you, Mr. Lutingo.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Randile, and thank you for all of you for introducing yourself. Nice to meet you. I'm Oscar Lutingo. I'm a junior operations manager within the Department of Student Affairs. I'm basically within the higher education sector. I've got now combined plus or minus 11 years experience within the higher education sector and in management position, in a lower level management position, because I was part of one higher education institution, then I've moved to another higher education institutions in different provinces. So when I'm looking at the concept that was brought into my attention, which speaks about job design, I'm currently not in the field of HR, but due to my extensive experience in recruitment, selections, appointment, job evaluations, drafting of job descriptions, and employment equity, and also my leadership credentials that links more to HR. It kind of broadened my understanding. Then therefore I will try by all means to share my experience within the practical field based on the question that might be posed in me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Lutingo. Since I've already mentioned that our topic talks about the job design and job analysis, we would like to ask if you can share in your own words, how would you summarize the concept of job design? What's your understanding around the concept of job design?
All right. So job design in my own view and in my practical knowledge is that first and foremost, it is something that is not an independent entity that just exists at anyhow, you see. It is something that exists within a context of an organization. The context of an organization can be goals, can be purpose, can be visions, can be values, which is coupled with the organizational structure. So the organizational structure which can be designed to ensure organization meet its objectives or goals, as I've said. So if you are designing a job or a position, you first look at the kind of the institution organization that is there. What is its goal? What is its purpose? What is its vision? What is its values? And then you're looking at the structure, because that position needs to fit into a certain structure, right? To make sure that when you're designing this particular job or the position, it assists the organization to meet its objectives or purpose or goals or visions, you see. So that's my basic understanding of the job design. So moving further, a bit further to explain more, then it can also be in a context. Like for instance, before it can be even designed or defined or described, you see, first it needs to be, we need to understand the climate that it is in, because every position, they are designed for a specific reason. I'll make a practical example. Right now within my organization, we all know that the country was facing with COVID, right? So
Yes.
there was COVID. We've got Student Wellness Center within our division, which I will say practically it's a campus clinic within the institution. So therefore, what happened, we had our own structure that exists within that division, which is student wellness. But when COVID came through, so now the structure that we had, it didn't work because it used to work on normal operating procedures. So COVID, we had to twist things around. We had to hire people, we have to design certain job in order to meet this specific demand, which will help the university to achieve a specific goal. Then therefore, we hired more mental health psychologists. We did not need them, you see. So now, if we've never had mental health psychologists. People, they were panicking, it was COVID. Students, they were just panicking, high level of mental health. So counseling became a high demand. You see, so now the university wanted to support and protect its students as much as it can. That's why it has to, based on the current situation that it had at the time, and the promise and the purpose and the vision that it had for students, then it has to design a specific positions that is going to deal with the specific demand that arises based on this on the global circumstances that the country was facing at the time. So that's how you design the job. I will also make a very practical example that all of you maybe have been or maybe might be experienced. Let me say you're hiring a cleaning lady. Right? The reason why you are hiring a cleaning lady is because you can't manage your house properly. You are working, you come late or whatsoever. So now in order for you to reduce that workload, then you had to find someone to assist you. If you are finding someone to assist you, you need to clearly define what is this person's roles and responsibilities? What are the things that you are going to take out from your plate and also dish it to this one so that the household plan can continue working in simple terms. It also applies in every organization. It's whereby we are simplifying a complex task. We are trying to make it sure that it is as simple as possible. So this process is first look at the ineffective. The process defines the ineffective, inefficient workflows, processes, structures, and systems. So now what it does, it redesigns, then it streamlines, then it simplifies, organize, then improve. As I've said, Student Wellness Center was operating just as normal. It's got a certain number of staff where COVID hit it. So now it has to change the way it has to change the way it do things because now it had to hire more people to deal with the specific issue of mental health for students and other related matters because there was a lot of mental breakdown. Students, they were at home, they couldn't move, they couldn't go anywhere. So just staying in one area, it created a lot of havoc. Let me pause there for now. Those are my own understanding when it comes to designing a job. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Lutingo. So in my own words, I think what you've just said in summary is when the organization is actually designing jobs, so there are factors that they need to consider. Like for instance, if like they are going to sort of design a job for a clerk position going forward, now organization to consider the current pandemic, like try to sort of like employ or design a job for people that will actually be able to work remotely, something like that. Is that what you were trying to say, Mr. Lutingo? Are we on the same page?
No, what I was actually saying is that job, they are designed for a specific purpose.
Yes.
To address a specific reasons, right? So it's depend on the certain circumstances that the university or that the institution is facing at the time, or the organization is facing at the time. You cannot just design a job at anyhow. But when the reason, you need to have a reason. Why are you designing that job, right? First of all, when you're designing that job, it has to be in line with the organization's goals, purpose, vision, and values. That's the first principle. Then the second principle, when you are designing that job, firstly, you need to identify the ineffectiveness, inefficient workflows, processes, structure, and system. I'll make an example like this national financial aid scheme. I'll make an example about that. You will remember but back in the days, there were discrepancies, monies they were paid into students' account, fraud, corruption, and there and there. Then the minister decided, look, let me employ a task team or more people that are going to sort out that crisis. So that's the same thing called job description. First, there was a problem that was identified. There was a system flaws, there were system processes that were no longer working, that were ineffective, that were inefficient, that were no longer working. So they had to design a job for people who are going to look at those things and solve those things. Once it was resolved, then those people has to go back to their original positions. So that's what I was saying. So we will go back. Should there be a question that is related to job flexibility? That's something else. But job design, we're just looking at the job, not a certain individual. When you are designing a job, you are not thinking of a person that's going to do the job. So that one falls within the recruitment processes, job description, and so forth.
Oh, thank you very much. That for your benefit, Tozi. When Mr. Luting was actually making an example about the NSFAS. So NSFAS, there were quite a lot of discrepancies that was done by some universities up until our Minister Blade Nzimande decided to appoint a few people from different universities so they can clean up that particular mess. I think that was the job that was designed for that particular period. And immediately after the issue was addressed and corrected, then those people went back to their positions, to their respective universities. Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Lutingo. Before I can jump to the next question, is there anyone that would love to add or to ask for clarity?
For me, everything was clear.
Lucy?
Thank you, Mr. Lutingo. Everything is clear.
Thank you very much, ladies. The second question, Mr. Lutingo, what are the most important decisions that you think need to be taken or be made during the process of job design?
Okay. Yeah. The first decision that I think, in my view, when you are designing a job, firstly, we've already spoke about the values and what. The first decision, the organization itself, it needs to assess. It needs to do the organization assessment, and they need to ask themselves, what do they need or want? When you are designing a question, the first decision that they need to decide on is what do they need or what they want. I'm not sure whether it's clear, but I'm going to
they want to achieve.
Yeah. What do they need? I'll make an example. We are designing an admin officer position, admin officer, right? A faculty admin officer or whatsoever. So the faculty admin officer, a faculty manager or the faculty board or faculty operations manager, what does the faculty need to achieve, or what are they looking from an admin officer? Then they will tell you, okay, administration, marks processing. Then they will say clients, student clients services, okay, servicing officer for certain committees, whatever. For they first need to decide what do they need, you see, for this person. What is this person going to do? Or what are their strategic imperatives or business needs or clients' demand? First, they need to do a complete assessment. You see, if you're working, let me say at CPS, you first need to understand what is the organization or department all about? What do you need? What do you need? Then you're identifying the gaps. You also need to also identify the opportunities, and then you perform organizational diagnosis. So that's the first decision that the department organization needs to do if it wants to design a job successfully. It's first to need to decide what do they need, and then what are the strategic imperative or business needs or clients' demand, and then what are the gaps or the opportunities that this position is going to bring, or the gaps that this position is going to close that are already existing. And then also they need to perform now the whole organizational diagnostics. The second one, they need to decide on what do they want this position to look like. Let us say now it is there. You see, how does it look like? Or they need to define the core capabilities and operative model. So they need to decide on the core capabilities. Can this person do this? Does this person have a computer literacy? Does this person have a trick? Does this person have a specific skills? Can this person be capable of doing it? They need to define it, and they need to decide on those capabilities as well, and the operative model. Can this current operating model that we are using, is it working? How does this person that you are designing a job for fit to this operative model? You see, in my view. And also they need to also look at, okay, the budgets, it's always the factor. They need to also decide, is this position going to be in a junior management level, in a senior management level, or lines of reporting, level of authorities? Those are the decisions that they need to make when they are doing the job design, in my view.
Oh, thank you. Anyone wants to add or ask for clarity before we skip to the next question, guys?
We can move right now.
We're clear.
Yes.
Mr. Lutingo, what do you think contributes to the development of a job design? Okay.
There are quite a number of things that I think can contribute to a successful. There's something else to be just to a job design, but a successful job design, you see. So first of all, it's simplicity. Simplicity, I'll explain. Simplicity, they need to also look at the size and balance. They need to look at specialization. Then they look at the span of control. And they need to look at the position structure. And they need to look at authority, as I've already mentioned before. So let me just explain, because I remember I was part of the process that unfolded last year of job design and position evaluation. So now, the reason I'm just confident to share these is just that when you want to design a successful or doing a job, a successful position design, you need to make sure that it is simple, simplicity. Yes. So it is simple, straightforward, easily understood. So the communication is uncomplicated, precise, and it is just straightforward. So decisions are clear, no ambiguities, or the line of accountability is clear and it's also understood. It just needs to be simple and straightforward. So we're going back now to also the most important thing, it's a size and balance. Because most people, they apply for positions without knowing what is the complexity of the positions. How many people are going to report to me? Or how many people that I'm reporting to? If I'm reporting to a line manager, how many steps that is in between me and my line manager to reach the line manager's line manager? Make an example, like the executive director. How many people are in front of me? that the position can reach the executive director, or how many people are below me, you see. Because others, they just apply for the job. Sometimes if it's not clear in terms of the size and balance, then people get there, then they become overwhelmed, then they resign, then they leave. So it's very important to
the line
also,
of hierarchy. I like that you touch base the line of hierarchy. Yes.
yeah, so it's very important to look at the size and balance. So the size and balance is the aim for a reasonable size and balance in the team and also departments, because you might be hired as a clerk or CPS officer. So if you are a CPS, campus control officer, that means you don't know how many stakeholders are you going to interact with. You see, how many, maybe if you are working in a higher education sector, how many students does this campus has, you see. So if you are working on the ratio, if it says it's 100 students per one CPS officer, do you understand? So that's the size and balance that I'm talking about. So if it's just a unit, the unit should have probably more than 8 or less than 25 people. So it's depend on the ratios that the organization is working on. So that's the size and balance. So if I move without the waste of time, let me move to the specialization. That's specialization. Specialization, it's when it's looking at the activities within one person's area of responsibilities. So that's now we are talking about, you will semi-skilled, skilled, you will call, there are people who are skilled, there are people, oh, they are non-skilled, skilled, semi-skilled, and what yeah, it's depending on their level of skills that they are providing, or level of education that these particular people have, you see. So now the activities within one person's area of responsibilities should be at a similar level of work, you see. So that means if you are at a level of a manager, so the activities, things that you do on the daily basis should be within this line of work level. So if you are talking about pay class or grades, because I think government department using the grades, and also in other, yeah, the people and other department they're using the, I know Transnet uses grades also. Yeah, so it's the grades that you are in should be in line with the activities that you are doing. So that's a specialization. If it's a plumber, the plumber cannot do a carpentry job. So a carpentry cannot do a clerk job. So all these things, they are completely different when you are designing a job, right? Then in terms of specialization, what I would like to share also is that unrelated or disparate activities can cause clouded responsibilities, duplications, or unaligned skill set. So which might lead into conflicting demand. So it's like, I'll make this, there's always a clash on this one. The cleaners and the securities, you see. From my past experience, 12 years experience, I've been in the industry, but I don't know why they don't get along, you see. Because the cleaner cleans, then once the cleaner has finished cleaning, the security is working there to do a patrol. The security has to patrol. So now, yeah. So you will find that there is that imbalance that is happening there, because this one is specializing on this one, and then this one is specializing on this one. This one think the other job is more important than the other one, and whatsoever. So also, when we are talking about conflicting demand, it's where there are these ad hoc tasks. Those tasks that normally within an organization, they don't have certain individual that deal with that particular task. It's just been drawn to everyone. Can you schedule a meeting for a director? Can you make coffee for so? Can you organize a venue? There is no specific person who deals with that. So that's why, if it's not clearly stated and included into a specific job, so it creates conflicting demand, and it also causes clouded responsibilities on another employees. All right, so due to the interest of time, let me move to a span of control. Span of control, we are looking at the limit direct report between grade 2 to grade 11, or between pay class 8 or pay class 10. It's a hierarchy. So that span of control, it's a bureaucracy where you are told, no, your level doesn't allow you to sign for this particular document. You are not in a level to approve this. It has to go through this or whatsoever. So the span of control, it's a limits depend on similarity of work, of subordinates or complexes of work, degree of physical separations that need to be communicated directly, and the amount of time spent on other non-supervisory tasks to the extent that which may maybe make procedures to be standardized and may be brought, but do not sacrifice efficiency. So that's a span of control. You might be able to do so many tasks based on your subordinate people that are reporting to, and you don't have to maybe provide direct supervision. You can give someone a task, even though based on their job that they're currently busy with on that particular day, that is not going to compromise, you see, the procedures that are standardized for a certain department or for a certain organization. They may be broad, but also they do not sacrifice efficiency. Like for instance, they will say in other department, we know we have a receptionist, you see, but that receptionist, we want that receptionist to be a first aider. You see, this person's job is not particularly based on first aid. You see, it's something that comes once and for all in a while. Do you understand? But when this person is performing this task, it still doesn't jeopardize the current job that this person is currently hired to do. Do you understand? So that's why I'm saying it does not sacrifice efficiency. So reception still runs very smoothly, unless otherwise someone is ahead. It's just for that particular hour or so. Right.
So it's one of those ad hoc
one of these
tasks that cannot make up a
job description.
Yeah, job description.
But they can be split amongst certain employees or individuals. All right. So when we're looking at the other one is a position structure. So when you're looking at the position structure, as I've already said, it is designed around organizational need, but not people. The position cannot be designed based on based on a certain individual or people. So that's why we've got Employment Equity Act, which says everyone should be treated the same. We now promoting the hiring of people with disabilities and so forth, because it's not about a person physical appearance. It's just a job that can be done by anyone. So also looking at the lowest labor cost without sacrificing quality. So the position structure, how can we make sure that we do a lowest labor cost without sacrificing the quality that we are producing? Okay, so we minimize negative impact on other positions. How do we ensure that the structures that exist does not overlap with other structures that is currently existing? You see, where you find now people, they are overstepping to other people's roles and responsibilities. Also, when you're creating a position structure, you are avoiding duplication or overlap of responsibilities or omissions of tasks. That's what I was trying to explain. All right. Level of authority, that's all managers do. I'm not sure whether I'm included there. Yeah, but I always believe, in my view, a manager that always says, I'm a manager here, I don't think that person's really a manager. So in my view, you don't have to ask who's the manager. You don't have to always say, I'm the manager, I'm the manager. That means there's something wrong there and there. But in terms of due to time, authority, the rest of responsibility for decision as far goes down to organizational structure as possible, closest to the work being done as possible. So it's about what authority, what approval do you have within organization. Okay, so it allows decisions to be made where acknowledged exist, free up time for higher level functions such as planning, controlling, coordinating, and evaluation. All right, so let me pause there for now. Those are the things that I think they are very, very important.
All right. So how do you think how can organizations improve their job design?
All right. In my view, in order to improve job design, né, they need to first do the, what do you call it? I'm just looking for a good term, appropriate term, actually. So first of all, they need to do, let me say, I'll make an example. They need to design the financial aid client services, maybe consultant, do you understand? So I think that it's very important for organizations to do benchmarking. If maybe this position they want to design, it's quite more similar to another organization that already have that is existing, right? Benchmarking is very important. And secondly, as I've said, they need to ensure that it is in line with the values, goals, objectives of the organizations. And also they need to conduct, per se, as much as it doesn't happen mostly, but they need to do a survey within the department. And so that all other people need to raise their voice. They need to be told, we are planning to create positions, but this position, this is what we think it should entail. But what are other people think? You see, so that they make sure that there is nothing that slips through the crack. Okay, then they need to also look at the current position description from, okay, I've already said from other areas. Standard operating procedure is very important when they're when it can improve the job design. They need to understand the standard operating procedure of the organization or the department. Also, it needs to be in line with the policies and processes, and also it's also need to be what you call, I think also they can consult an external expert rather than to make it just decide on their own as the organization, because an external expert is going to guide them properly because they don't have any vested interest within that particular organization. So whatever decision that the external expert can make, it cannot be biased or have conflicting conflicts or whatsoever in the near future. So that's that. Thank you.
Okay, now we are going to talk about your organization, in fact, your sector, because we're not allowed to name the organizations. So how often does the process of job design takes place in your own organization?
Okay, so as I've said, as I've explained earlier, that the process of job design occurs for a specific reasons or other or due to specific circumstances that occur that will make the organization to design a specific job. But here, as much as I'm not sure, because I'm limited to only my department, I cannot comment on the organization or the institution as the whole. But within my department, ever since I've been here, it's something. Let me say it's something that does happen more often, but it's not been communicated. It's happening more often.
Often. All right. Do you want to ask or add something to it before we can proceed to the next? But for me, it's very clear. Do you want to add something or you want to ask something?
I am very clear. In fact, I'm learning so much session we are having right now. So I'm very, very clear.
All right. Mr. Lushingo, what effect does job design have on performance?
Okay. Oh God. All right. So the job design. It's let me look at this way. I think you asked that question previously, if I recall. I think you've mentioned something. No, you've mentioned something about designing a job, whether can people work from home or whatsoever. Blah blah blah. All right. So the effect that the job has on performance, in order for you to measure an employee or a staff member's performance, you measure the staff member's performance or an employee's performance based on the job that is designed, right? So the job design, it needs to be designed. Then after you write the job description of the particular persons or a particular employee that has a specific key performance areas, you see. So now the effect, if the job is not properly designed, you see, so of course it will affect the performance negatively. But if the job is properly designed and is a clear and concise job description with the key performance areas, it will have a positive effect on an employee's performance, and also it will yield a greater result of the productions or of the client services of anything that institution specializes for, or what is it selling? Do you understand? So now, so if you are rating someone on something that is not clear, of course you'll be disadvantaging an employee due to the fact that the job or position description was not done properly. So that's the effect. It can be negative, it can also be positive, depending on how was it designed. You see.
Okay. All right, so we are now going to shift to.
So just to move on, I'm sorry to disturb you, just to move on. So the positive effect, if the job is designed clearly and concise, it's very clear, simplicity, and all those other things that I've mentioned above were taken into consideration. It can also create better opportunities for employee, and also it can also create, depending whether that particular organization is using bonuses or exceed or appreciation, vice chancellor, or letter from the higher level person appreciating them. So it can also stimulate or stimulate the staff members' ability to continue to do better, you see. But if it's not designed properly, it will have a negative effect. All right.
Oh, okay. Thanks very much, Mr. Tingo. We are going to shift to the second concept, which is the job analysis process. If you could please describe in detail your organization's job analysis process, your understanding about the job analysis process in your own organization.
All right. So the job analysis process, what is normally happen here, it says after 4 years of your appointment, right?
Yes.
So they should be, your job needs to be, they call it a job review. They are not calling analysis, but it's the same thing. When you are reviewing something, of course, you're analyzing. So the process that they have, they first need to, there is a before meeting process preparation of a job review meeting. And then there is a during the meeting process. And also there is a process where now there is a position analysis questionnaire that can be distributed amongst incumbent, which can be line managers, people that are currently within that particular role, and whatsoever, to ask what they think, what they've been doing differently, what are the tasks that they feel it's been added as their responsibilities, but it's not on the previous job design or job description. So that's how they do it. So now from the first meeting, before the meeting, they say they choose the participant. You might want to be interviewing participants together or one-on-one. They set up interviews, allowing for enough time. They check that participants understand the purpose of the meeting. They invite participants to bring their additional information, such as document, items of demonstration, for example, example of work, etc. And then they find out as much as they can about the positions and the environment when they're doing the job design. That's before the meeting. Then during the meeting, they introduce and explain the purpose of the interview, and so and so and so. It's quite a very lengthy and a long process. And then they also have timelines. You see then that when they initiated this process, how long does it take? So at the minimum, it should take 3 to 4 months to be concluded. Okay.
Wow. Thanks, Betty. Why do you think is job analysis performed? By that I mean, what is the purpose of job analysis in organizations, or rather say in your organization?
All right. So look, as I've been at different institutions, the important of the job analysis is that things change over time. That's the fact. Things change over time. The job description that was drafted in 2016, it's not the things that were happening at that time. They are completely different with what is happening now in 2021. So that's why it's very important for the position to be analyzed or to be reviewed within a certain specific period in time. I'll make an example. Back in the days, people, they were just using what you call Telegram. Yes. Telegram, I heard it was counting number of words where if you are sending a message at home or you are sending a message elsewhere. So Telegram. So you will write certain words.
Allowed to write them.
You go to the shop. Yeah, you go to the shop. You send that. You see. So now there was a lot of logistics that were there at the time. Do you understand? Compare is now. Now there is an email. There are a lot of things that are available. So technology changes. You need to keep up with the speed. So now you need to advance yourself based on the certain skills or certain opportunities that avail itself in order for you to be better able to do your job properly. So now that's why it's very important for the job to be re-evaluated or to be reviewed for a certain period in time, because things change. You might find out that the amount of work that I was doing 5 years time, it's completely maybe doubled with the amount of work that I'm currently doing right now, because work keeps on increasing. Okay. So that's why it's very important to do that. Then there are also evolution, industrial 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're on industrial 4 evolution. So things are changing. So it's very important to review. The reason why we want to review the job description is that does the organization really still need this job or it doesn't? If it still do, then it's fine, it can continue. If it doesn't, then it will lead to retrenchment. Do you understand? To save money, because there's no point of the organization to keep on having a position that doesn't add any value or create money within the institution. So that's why it is very important to be reviewed. So, but others, they try to run as much as they can from retrenchment and maybe try to create another redeployment, another organization called the redeployment list or whatsoever. But yeah, it's to assess whether is it still needed or it's no longer needed. What value does it add? You see, or what change does it bring, and so forth.
Thanks, Putty. So, in your own understanding or your previous experience, what would you deem as a successful job analysis process?
Right, I'm looking at the question. Okay, we're on question 9.
Question 9.
A successful job. Okay, everybody's participated, going outside and get okay. So, wow. According to my own experience, first and foremost, they should be, these certain stakeholders need to be present. HR, business partner or HR practitioner should be present. Organizational design specialist should be present. There. Line manager should be present. And a current incumbent should be present. And benchmarking should be done. Should maybe the organizations is quite a competitor of another organization that sells the same product. Do you understand? Then it is very, very important. And also looking at market rated within that particular positions, that how does it look like, and also predict the future of that positions. Then until how long would these particular positions be needed? Do you understand? So I think the successful job evaluation need the participation and the commitment of these stakeholders that I've mentioned above. You see, and also it is not personal. It should be clearly that it's not personal to the particular incumbent, because they are not evaluating or analyzing the specific person, but they are analyzing a specific job that this person is currently doing.
Okay. Thanks.
But the people who need to have more input is the incumbent, line managers, HR.
Thanks, Buti. Just to wrap it up in my own words, you said that the most important thing is the engagement and participation of the relevant stakeholders. That include the HR, so as to guide and ensure that the process is followed, following the company's or the organization's policies, while the line manager is the person that actually understands the role.
Yeah, so
does the union needs to be involved?
In my view, it's depend on the climate or on the business model that the organization is using. You will find that there are other organizations that are doing very well that doesn't need unions. So they always reach a common ground with its employees. You see, and you will find there are other organizations that always find it very difficult to reach a certain a common ground between its employees and also the organization itself. So I will say yes, depending on the business model that this organization is using. But I will say it will be highly recommended that the union should be there. Thanks. Or any representative.
Sorry, Mr. Lutingo, to interject. Alondile, our hands are up.
Unfortunately, I said I cannot be able to see them. I asked Tozi to stop me should one of you raise up the hand. I see now your hand is up and Tozama's hand is up, so I'm not sure. Tozama and Busi in that order, please.
I was going to that I'm having network issues. You are breaking, and I'm only seeing Busi's hand now after I've been disconnected for a moment, and then I recently came back now. So I wanted to apologize for that.
Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry. We'll look at Busi.
Yes, for me, there is nothing much I wanted to say except that this process it seems to be interlinking, because Mr. Lutingo just giving us a response, his response on question number 9, and yet that question number 9 is answering number 10 as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. His response also covered question number 10. I'm going to skip because it asks who is involved in the process. You already touched base to say that HR need to be involved, lane manager should be involved, the incumbent need to be involved. That depends for the unions, depends on the organizations, you know. But let's rather include the unions as well in the response, even though it will depend. You know, Tozi, do you hear us correctly now? Are we still breaking before we can proceed?
I can definitely hear you. And I just wanted to add, because I was also going to say that what Mr. Lutingo is saying is also covering question 9 and 10. I wanted to ask him, because when you're designing a job, there's also an approach which is you can use. In this case, I would like to ask, how has been your experience, Mr. Lutingo, on job design using the competency-based approach?
Using the competency-based approach. All right. So I don't have much experience on that one. Because look, the job design, it's also based, it's different from organization to organization. You see, it's depend on the organization business model and standard operating procedures, right? But I will say theoretically, it is a good approach if it can be implemented effectively, because I think I do have a slightly grasp of theory, because the one that we currently have there, I'm still unsure whether does it fall within that approach or not, you see, because there are certain things, there are certain boxes that it doesn't tick, you see, so that's why I did not want to dwell much on that. But yeah, it's depending, because there is, remember, so job design theoretically, we know what it's expected, but institutions, they have its own organization, and institutions has its own their policies and procedures that really guides them on how to conduct their own business model. Okay.
Okay, just for clarity, were you asking question number 11, how effective is job analysis, or your question was based on the job design?
It was based on the job design.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. The second last question is, what method is your current organization use for job analysis? Would you like to share?
I don't want to lie. I'm quite unsure. I'm not sure.
Job analysis.
Sorry, but you did.
I think you've covered this question before.
I think I've covered it, because now the reason why I'm saying I'm
unsure.
unsure. Yes,
it was questionnaire that were distributed to people to. You did cover that question.
Yes.
So when you're talking about the method, I think it's an engagement. It's more like an engagement method. Communication and engagement. It engages people more because they're using the questionnaire, and they make sure that line managers, incumbents, they are there, HR is there, organizational design specialist is also there. Yeah, it's just a questionnaire method.
Okay, thanks. Tozi, I saw your hand was up, or are you covered?
No, I didn't lower it after my question was answered. So I listened.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. I would assume that Mr. Lutingo cannot be able to answer question number 11, how effective is job analysis using the competency-based approach within your organization?
And unfortunately, I think I've once came across with this one, because job analysis using a competency-based approach. I'm not going to dwell much, but I was in a process of a job review or the analysis, you see, and which also included the benchmarking. So it's became fair to unfair when it comes to looking at the competencies, because competencies also has to do with the level of education. But within that process, what happened is that the job design or analysis was done, evaluation or analysis was done, and it was successful. But the issue now was the fact that the people who are currently within those positions, they lack certain competencies, you see, which disadvantage them when it comes to salary. Because now if you don't have, let me say it's looking for 10 competencies, right? But you are lacking 2 competencies. So you cannot get paid the same level that the person that covers all competencies that are required for this particular position within the organization. You see, so I will say, in my view, it is effective, but the reality kicks in where sometimes can be agreed that it can be fair to certain individual, and it cannot be. It can be unfair to certain individual. It's a process that is not one size fits all. Because as you might be aware, we might apply for a same position, maybe share same competencies, but we might not be able to tick all competencies. You see, so in terms of effectiveness, there is somehow that it is unfair to certain individuals. So it's not a one size fits all, but it's good in another way. So I would like to sit on the fence on this one in terms of effectiveness. It's depending how it was applied, and the particular incumbents that are there within those positions, and then what competencies they have, level of qualifications and experience as well. All right.
Thanks. That was the last question. Do you guys, would you like to probe more on the question you want to add, or you want to ask for clarity, or we are clear because we reached the end of our presentation?
I have no further.
You have no further questions. I understand. Oh, okay. Then, Mr. Lutingo, we have reached the end of our presentation, and I cannot help but to thank you for availing yourself to help us, even though I need to put this on record that we approached you on the very 11th hour. But you seemed to be more ready. You were very prepared for this presentation. You have enlightened us on these two aspects, the job design and the job analysis. You have helped us last year. I really want to thank you for always avail yourself to help us. This is not the very first time we approached you. We also approached you last year to come and assist. And thank you very much for that. I will give it to the other two group members. Should you want to throw the word of gratitude to Mr. Lutingo?
All right, before they can do that, there is something that sparked my mind. In simple terms, when you're looking at these two concepts, job design and job analysis, right? Let us look at it now from a project management point of view, right? If you have done a project, right, you completed the project, you need to review or revisit. Is this project still doing what it was intended to do?
True.
Right. If you've built a car, is this car drivable? Is it going to cliff? If you are saying this is a 4x4 car, right? So me, I'm expecting to drive a 4x4, right? Can it take me to river valleys? Can it drive into the water? Can it drive into a mud whatsoever? So it is very important for people who design specific things to do a re-evaluation. Is it still working? What are the gaps that this thing still possesses? What are the areas of improvement? That's the reason why it is very, very important when you are designing a job also to do an evaluation within a specific period of time, because things change. Those are my closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lutingo. I'm going to give platform to the two ladies. If there is anything that they want to say before we can stop the recording.
I just want to say thank you very much, Mr. Lutingo, for helping us again. It was an informative interview and we've learned a lot, and it is going to assist us. In fact, there is too much of additional information that we need to add now in our assignment. So thank you so much, especially for availing yourself on the last minute and make time, taking from your own time, because now it's late. So thank you so much. We are grateful.
Since it's the first time I'm working with Mr. Lutingo, I would like to throw in a very appreciative hand to you for assisting us, and we really do appreciate it, because we were at a point of no return, but then you rescued us, and we would like to thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you so much as well. We believe in education, so whenever I can assist, I will. Yeah, I just have faith in you, so just do what you do best, and good luck.
Thank you. I'm going to
Thank you.
stop the recording.